You don't have to use your own technology. You don't have to make your own technology. You could just go online, get a free API, free open source code, and just start using AI, and it can really improve your business and improve your customer experience. So I think that leveraging artificial intelligence in any company, or in most companies rather, is super important, and it definitely has a big application.
Hey everyone, this is Devin Miller here with another episode of The Inventive Expert. I'm your host, Devin Miller, the serial entrepreneur that has grown several startups into 7- and 8-figure businesses, as well as the founder and CEO of Miller IP Law, where he helps startups and small businesses with their patents and trademarks. If you ever need help with yours, just go to strategymeeting.com. We're always here to help. Now, today we have another great guest on the podcast, Aaron Golbin. And Aaron, we're going to talk about a few different things, and that includes kind of technology, using it or technology as far as for AI debating and for predictions and for using prediction or predictive information about users and for users, maybe a bit about media and taking in media for people and curating it, aggregating it, and what that might mean, and also a touch on about innovations and educational products and how to use those to improve retention for kids. So be a lot of great areas and a fun discussion. And with that much as introduction, welcome on the podcast, Aaron.
Thank you, Devin. Great to have you. Great. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So I just gave kind of a quick run through of some of the topics at hand or the areas of expertise. But before we dive into those, for those of you that didn't catch your Inventive Journey episode on the Inventive Journey podcast, maybe just give a 1 to 2 minute kind of quick introduction about who you are and why you have experience in this area.
Yeah, sure. So I'm a youth entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur since the age of 8. I founded, co-founder, been involved in 8 startups and companies to date. I'm the founder and CEO of debateisland.com, which is the largest online debate platform in the world by activity. So we allow anyone to go online and debate with others while connecting with others as well. And we have a bunch of revolutionary AI products. So we're really innovating in the AI space of online communication and debating. I'm also the founder and CEO of the American Post, which is a brand new startup, and we're the first hub of opinion articles in the world. So we allow people to go online and curate opinion pieces as well as political research if they're a premium member, to view different articles on political topics, global topics, on 40 or more issues, featuring foreign policy, domestic policy, and others, on opinion pieces from various different publishers as well.
Awesome. Well, that's definitely a fun area, and I'm excited to chat with you about or several of those areas. So maybe just diving in. So, one of the areas that I think is a hot area, it feels like it's becoming a bit of a buzzword, is the idea of AI or machine learning and using that technology, because everybody says they have AI and half the time it's true, and the other half of the time they have something that's very rudimentary and that, a couple decision trees, and they say, hey, this is AI and now it's predictive, right? So within that, as you're looking at kind of debating or incorporating AI, how do people go about even thinking about AI? Whether it's specific to debate platforms or using it for other levels of prediction? How do you go about even thinking about incorporating that into technology?
Yeah, so I see AI as being very powerful because it can allow humans to be freed up from work that they should not be doing in the first place, work that they can, really be automating much more, as well as having AI help humans improve their skills. So what Debate Island does is we leverage AI to improve debating skills as well as writing skills and critical thinking skills in the education context, as well as just the consumer product context. So we have a bunch of different AI products. The first one is Deborah AI, which is what we call our artificial intelligence suite of products. So Deborah AI Analytics, and that's a bunch of different analytics using very powerful data on arguments as well as users. So we can tell you how considerate your argument is, what you can improve on your grade level, and various different metrics of those kinds, which are super unique. Then we also have Deborah AI Prediction, and that's the first of its kind in the entire world. We allow users to see the prediction on debates. So we can basically predict the winners of online debates or the winner of online debates with very high accuracy, all through artificial intelligence and a proprietary algorithm. And we also have user analytics in terms of political affiliation and presidential candidate, as well as argument analytics on that level. So we can predict with high accuracy the political affiliation and presidential candidate that's recommended from the 2020 election cycle for users as well as arguments. And that includes, Joe Biden, Donald Trump, and a bunch of others.
So now one question that, kind of comes up. So you talk about prediction, because I think that that has a much greater expanse or application to a lot of businesses. In other words, a lot of businesses are trying to predict everything from, what users will buy or what users they should advertise to or purchase, or when they'll make purchasing decisions, or in your case, how the debate and the outcomes might go. So as you were looking to incorporate AI in, how do you go about setting up intelligent enough AI that it actually has some meaningful feedback or meaningful use to a business?
Yeah, our AI is pretty advanced for sure. We're using a bunch of different APIs, open source. We're using a lot of proprietary algorithms as well, which we built in-house. So it's definitely advanced. And just looking at our data sets and looking at what our Deborah AI has predicted, we have very high accuracy. I mean, almost everything is correct in terms of the prediction. So it's based on a lot of different factors and a lot of different data trees. And I think that it's super powerful, and that really shows in its application.
No, and I think that makes sense. And so, one of the interesting applications that I thought you talked about is, using predictive data, for users, about users, with regards to a debate. Now, walk us through a little bit, and within not getting into anything proprietary, anything that's too behind the scenes to you guys, but how do you go about doing that? Because I think that has insights into, if you're looking to predict, outcomes of debates or who might win or who's a stronger debater or the topics and whatnot, you can do a lot of those same or carryovers with other areas. So how do you guys kind of go about making some of those predictions?
Yeah, definitely. So online communication, especially debating, obviously, is very text-based. So we have a lot of natural language processing, or NPL, and that's a big factor in terms of understanding what the text is like, so we can figure out, is it going to probably win or not? We have a lot of various analytics that go into it that's actually from Deborah AI Analytics. So our suite of AI products really work together in a very good way. We utilize Deborah AI Analytics to power Deborah AI prediction in a small way as well. So we take a lot of different factors from that, and we figure out what is the likelihood that they're going to win based on specific factors, and then we compile it all together in an algorithm, and then we come up with our prediction, as well as NPL and obviously APIs.
Fair enough. So no, I think that's there's certainly an interesting application, interesting area of AI. So now maybe switching gears just a bit and talking a little bit about kind of the media aspect of, because I think one of the other things that you guys are either doing or getting into is curating media, aggregating content, getting research and opinion pieces. And again, that while it's a bit more specific to the debating platform, it also has a lot of areas, because people are always looking to every business is trying to figure out how to put out content, whether it's for SEO and to increase engagement and to otherwise, get people interacting and coming back to them, not only just for services, which is the end goal, or for product, but also to kind of have them actively and keeping them forefront of mind. So as you're looking to take media to, people and doing that curation, aggregation, all that, what are some of the steps that, people should be thinking about or otherwise looking to tackle as they're looking to set that up maybe within their own businesses?
Yeah, sure. So the American Post is a totally separate entity from Debate Island. We're basically giving people the power to see what opinion articles that they want to see. Right now, there's a lot of polarization in the media. You have two different sides, basically, and a lot of information is really unfactual, or it's just absolutely nuts. And it's not reflective of American society. It's really just these two media bubbles. So what we're trying to do is allow people to go and see any opinion articles they want to see based on what they want to see, so they can curate content. I think that aggregation is really powerful, because you don't have to produce original content. Oh, we also produce original content, which I think is really fact-based and high quality. You don't have to do that. You can just take articles in a legal context from various different publishers, and you can produce that in an interesting way that it has a good user experience. So that can be curated by yourself, that can be curated by your users if you have a platform that can allow that technically. There's a lot of ways to display content, which I think can be really, really interesting and can make a good business.
So if you're looking at, so one of the questions as far as being kind of that curation or aggregation is, because there's always that trade-off with curating versus creating your own content. And there's kind of pros and cons within both. In other words, if you're getting content from a lot of places, I mean, kind of the platform, in the one sense, you have a lot of content, On the other sense, you always have to worry about whether or not you owned it, whether or not you have the rights to it, and even also as to whether or not Google is going to ding you, because now you're simply, not in a bad way, but regurgitating other people's content as opposed to original content. And it looks at that a bit of a different way. So how do you go about kind of weighing that as far as looking to be a content aggregator versus creating the original content?
Yeah, sure. So we're not a media house. We're a technology company. So we're similar to, let's say, Flipboard or Smart News, but really for opinion. We're just giving people the functionality to go and to curate their own opinion articles. So what we do is produce our own content, which we think is really great. We take in a lot of content in a totally legal way, and we send articles to the original publishers if people click on it. And we just allow people to go and to figure out how they want to see it and what exactly they want to see based on political affiliation, what topic they want to see, political research, or actually just articles, opinion articles rather. And that's what I think is interesting in the venture. So we're not a media venture, really. We're just a technology company, and we're changing the way that people take in opinion articles.
I think that definitely makes sense. So as you've been implementing that, and I don't know, we didn't talk about this beforehand, but I just was kind of interested as the discussion went along. As you're curating that, how does Google, or do you know, how does Google treat that? In other words, if people are kind of making that decision, hey, should I curate it and should I otherwise aggregate it, or should I do all original content? And Google is trying to analyze that and see how you rank or whether or not you're important or not, because everybody that's online or predominantly uses Google, and that's how they find out about people. How do you kind of go about, how does that go into or affect things as far as aggregation and curating?
Yeah, great question. So our company is totally unique and brand new. We don't really reproduce content. So the way that we're structured is we have a bunch of different pages, and that's our home page where you can just curate your own opinion pieces. We also have topic pages, so like 40 plus different issues all around a bunch of different sectors. And then we also have our about pages and things of that nature, which are not really part of the functionality itself of the platform. If you have a structure that way, it's totally, approved by Google and search engines almost certainly. You cannot go and just have content from, like, let's say, the New York Times or from Fox News and just have it on your own platform. We don't do that. We have our own content in our own platform as well. So we have our own articles, and that's available on Google and Bing and other search engines worldwide. And that's optimized for those search engines as well. So that's totally fine to do. And it's definitely optimized for SEO.
Interesting. So if I were to do that, and I was probably framing it slightly different. And so I appreciate the clarification, because when I typically think of aggregation curating, it's going out and finding other articles. And what you're saying, if I understand it right, definitely if I'm putting the wrong words in your mouth, definitely feel free to clarify or to correct me. But when you're saying aggregation curating, it's more of you're still having original content, but it's a lot of user created content and user provided information that allows you to provide a platform where people are able to share ideas, share different debate topics, share information. And so it's original in that sense. And yet you're not having to all of yourself or all of your team or create all that content. Rather, you're just simply managing it. Is that right?
So we have the aggregation section where we take in from a bunch of different publishers all over the world, AP, NPR, a bunch of others as well, all over the political spectrum, left, center, and right. Moderately left, moderately right as well. And then we also have our in-house publishing sector as well, where we publish our own content. So those are two separate segments, and we have it all in one platform where people can view all these articles in one user experience.
Interesting. And just out of curiosity, and this is probably more for my curiosity, so is it easy to distinguish between your articles versus AP articles? In other words, is there, hey, I know that this is a original content versus this is something that's from a different source? Or do you tend to just say, hey, this is all news and we attribute it correctly, but it doesn't have that distinguishment? So I'm just trying to think, if I was to go through it and saying, hey, I want to see what's going on around the world versus I want to see original content, does it matter to users? Do you need to distinguish it, or is all just kind of, hey, as long as it's meaningful content, I don't care about the source?
Yeah, great question. So throughout our entire user interface, we have big distinguishing factors of both. So first of all, if it's curated content, it's going to say by whoever the publisher is. So by NPR, by Fox News, whatever it may be. If it's us, to be by the American Post. And then as well, if you click on the content itself to go and see, to actually read it, it's going to take you, if it's an aggregated rather, piece of content, it's going to take you to the publisher's website where it's available, because that's all we can do. We cannot publish it ourselves. We cannot display it on our own website. If it's our content, we're going to take you to our platform in our very nicely designed readers page for the article.
One other, maybe shifting gears just one more time, just because there are a lot of fun topics to hit on. Another one that we did, or area that we talked on a little bit before the podcast, was the areas of innovation and kind of creating, and it kind of goes along with a lot of the way you're doing on the media side, but as educational products and, kind of almost the teaching people online about debates and discussions and getting, improving kids' retention and that. So help us a bit understand is kind of if you're looking to create educational products and to teach and to otherwise help the community. What are the kind of products you could be considering, or what are some of the things there that you should look at?
Yeah, so we actually have commercial solutions for both American Post and Debate Island. Let's talk about a little bit both. So with Debate Island, we have Debate Island Education, which is an ed tech solution. It's award-winning, a lot of demand for it. So we're really revolutionizing the ed tech space. We're incorporating online debate in a casual way and incorporating artificial intelligence for the first time ever into the classroom through a debate format. So we allow teachers to have online debating classrooms where students can view lectures, assignments, discussions, as well as debates all over 5 formats and leverage artificial intelligence to improve critical thinking and debating skills. So for example, a social studies teacher in Wisconsin, an 8th grade teacher can go and she can incorporate debate into her classroom. So she can post a debate that they had in the classroom regarding some piece of content. So let's say they were talking about the American Revolution. They can have a debate about that topic and have the students debate it in the classroom, all in real time online in a very easy way. It's user-friendly, especially for middle schoolers and high schoolers as well. And then in terms of the American Post, we have commercial solutions. So we have the American Post Researcher, the American Post Think Tank, the American Post Political Ventures, and we also have the American Post Think Tank as well. So basically, we're allowing political research to be easily taken by these various ventures. That could be political campaigns, it could be think tanks, it can be individual researchers as well. And I think that's really powerful and extremely unique and innovative. And it's going to really streamline their entire research process.
No, and I think that there sounds like some great areas of utilization of training and teaching and otherwise providing information. So now I'm going to shift gears, and it wasn't one that we talked about beforehand, but it's just one that was interesting because as you're teaching people how to debate, as you're training, as you're doing predictions, as you're incorporating technology, and as you're creating the platforms, one of the things that it seems to, and it goes on, all sides of the political aisle, is the confliction between, hey, we don't want to have fake news, or we want to have freedom of speech, or we want to let people debate or say what they are and let the audience choose, versus we want to limit what is people said. And I'm not taking sides one way or the other because I can probably make arguments on both sides, but how do you kind of sift through that if that is kind of your goal? And one is providing more content, 2 is teaching people how to discuss, how to debate, and also trying to be a bit of a intermediary arbitrator that doesn't take sides or is unbiased. How do you kind of go through and balance all of those fake news versus not fake news, freedom of speech, and all of those things as you're trying to do that?
Yeah, so the answer is pretty simple, and this is just my ideology personally. Let the users decide. Let the users decide. So we allow the users to curate. We do not touch in any capacity what is shown. We're not Google, we're not Facebook. We don't do the bias stuff. We let them decide what they want to see. It's their decision 100%. That's how it works with Debate Island as well as Debate News. So that's just a big belief of mine. Let the users decide what they want to do. And that's what we have going on in the American Post. There's no interference whatsoever by us or by any person or entity in what users see other than themselves, because they can just curate content by themselves.
And so, and again, I'm more out of this curiosity. You see that is a positive. In other words, are people wanting or open to and willing to accept or at least be willing to understand that there's a varying different viewpoints? Because you listen to the media, listen to the news, and you hear both sides. And again, not taking sides because I think that you can argue both sides, but some people are wanting more and less. And so are they willing to and open to listening to both sides, or at least understanding there are multiple sides of the debate? And, I just was curious more on mainstream media versus how people are actually debating or discussing things. Does that kind of line up with what we see in reality, or is there a bit of a disparity?
Definitely. So we're frequently taught that, Fox News and MSNBC, CNN, they're the big channels, and that's where almost everyone listens to. It's not true whatsoever. Actually, a minority of Americans listen to these crazy, channels where you have just straight politics, and it's usually very biased, and that's on all sides, right and left. Most Americans actually listen to non-biased news or a little bit of a biased news. So NBC, ABC, Fox, NPR, AP, which is totally unbiased, and those types of publications. So definitely there's a big demand for unbiased opinion articles. And obviously opinion articles have bias in terms of political ideology because they're saying an opinion, but you know what the background is, whether it's left or it's right or it's just center. It's always fact-based and evidence-based, and it's not based in strictly ideology and just selfishness. So I think that's super important in our platform, and it's super important to me to give that kind of content.
No, and I'm probably a lot along the same lines in the sense. One of the things I always like to do is, one, I always like to play devil's advocate, but two, I think if you're really wanting to be able to have a open and honest debate and discussion and learn and grow, and to otherwise teach people how to do that, it has to be a willingness to accept information from all sides, and then you have to also learn how to sift through that. So I just thought that was a bit of an aside, but an interesting area, because I think that it has applicability throughout a lot of things, including, if you're a small business or a startup, hey, if you're looking at what kind of content we share, what kind of platform should we do, should we take a stance, should we not take a stance? There's always a lot of those implications you're having to decide for your business. And, it's interesting to see what that impact might have one way or the other. So definitely.
And actually, speaking of that, we also have a commercial solution just for companies. So they can do exactly that. They can figure out what opinion pieces are shown and what opinion they want to take, if any, and that's going to really help their investor relations, their public relations, and I think that's super important for them.
No, I couldn't agree more. So I think that sounds like it's a great tool. Well, as we start to wrap up the podcast, I always wrap up with one question. So we'll jump to that now, which is, we've hit on a lot of different areas of discussion, which include, AI and debating and technology and predictions and media and curating and aggregation and different opinion pieces or research and the innovation and technology and education and all of those things. And so there's a lot of things that we've hit on, and a lot of things that people could be thinking about and how they might utilize it or incorporate into the business. And if people are walking away saying, well, there's a lot of things I could be doing, but I don't have the time to do it all, what is one thing that people could do to start incorporating or to utilize what we've discussed in their businesses?
Yeah, you don't have to use your own technology. You don't have to make your own technology. You could just go online, get a free API, free open source code, and just start using AI, and it can really improve your business and improve your customer experience. So I think that leveraging artificial intelligence in any company, or in most companies rather, is super important, and it definitely has a big application.
No, and I think that's a great point, because a lot of times people get a bit overwhelmed. Hey, I have to build this, and it's going to be a large cost and a big investment. And what do I do, and how do I do it? And, if you were to build it from scratch, yeah, you're going to be investing a large portion. But I think there's a lot of, whether off the shelf or otherwise, kind of the build versus buy. And a lot of time, if you're buying it or otherwise utilizing what others people have built, it can help to leverage your business, incorporate new and additional features that others may not be providing without having to build it from scratch. So I think that's a great takeaway. Well, if people want to reach out to you, they want to find out more, they want to be a customer, they want to be a client, they want to go on your platform and debate, they want to go out on your platform and get some interesting articles or media and whatnot, they want to be an employee, they want to be an investor, if they want to be your next best friend, any or all of the above, what's the best way to reach out to you, contact you, find out more?
Sure. So first of all, visit the American Post at theampo.com, THEAMPO.com. You can also find out more about the American Post at theampo.com/about. Visit debateisland.com at debateisland.com. Contact me at my email. You can find it on LinkedIn, linkedin.com/in/Aaron Golbin.
All right. Well, I definitely encourage everybody to check out the various platforms. A lot of great information, great platforms, and a lot of things that they can learn from. So, well, thank you again, Aaron, for coming on the podcast. It's been it's been a pleasure. Now, for all of you that are listeners, if you can make sure to leave us a review, click share, click subscribe, because we want to make sure that everyone finds out about all these awesome expertise, and then it helps them as they are building and growing their businesses. And with that, if you ever need help with patents or trademarks or anything else with your business, feel free to reach out to us and go to strategymeeting.com, grab some time with us to chat. We're always here to help. Well, thank you again, Aaron, for coming on, and wish the next leg of your journey even better than the last.
Thank you, Zevin.